Hey, it's episode 8 of the Sport Fanatics podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm J. Mike.
Today we've got the Bucks winning Game 3, MLB All-Star Week, and also got a weird Les Miles story to talk about. But for now, here's that theme song.
Rocky Mountain High in Colorado.
This ain't John Denver.
Yeah, we're in the Rockies. Come on, Chris.
Well, that's where the All-Star game is, yes. Yeah.
Yes.
That's tonight, actually. But before we get to that, I think we need to talk about the NBA playoffs.
Yes.
The Bucks.
Statement.
Yeah, they showed out in that Game 3, winning 120-100.
Kind of like I figured, Chris.
Well, yeah, like we said,
because I had a lot of questions about Phoenix's depth going forward in this series, as I touched on in our last podcast, which was last Friday.
Right.
And we also discussed on how Giannis needed help.
Yeah, from especially from Holiday and Middleton, and he got it.
Absolutely. While Giannis once again going all beast mode on us.
Yeah, 41
in these
points.
NBA Finals.
Yeah, 41 points and 6 assists from Giannis.
He has absolutely lived up to his name, the Greek Freak, for sure.
Yeah, and add on him Middleton with 18 points and 6 assists, and Holiday with 21 points and 9 assists. That'll get it done.
Definitely needed that from both of those guys, especially Drew Holiday, because Drew Holiday has not been the player that we saw in games 5 and 6 when the Bucks closed out the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals, because he stepped up big time in Giannis's absence with his injury at the time.
Right.
Was a non-factor in the first 2 games of this NBA Finals. And so definitely going back to Milwaukee now, you're not only on your home court, but you just have that sense of urgency, because you're down 2-0 to the Suns, and you desperately need to win Game 3 or it's over. And Holiday and Middleton stepped up big time as the Milwaukee Bucks have a big statement win in Game 3.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing about it. It's such a statement. They didn't just win. I mean, they have really grabbed a lot of momentum here.
Yes, they
for
have.
Game 4.
Yes, they have, which I can't remember if I said this on our last podcast, Chris, but I surely felt it, and I probably hinted at it, but I really liked the Bucks tying this series up.
Yeah.
In games 3 and 4, tying it up in Milwaukee.
Yeah, you I believe you mentioned,
or I certainly
along those lines.
hinted at it.
Yeah.
I don't believe I said it, but it's exactly the way I felt. And just like we talked about before this series began, who is going to stop Giannis inside? And you're looking at DeAndre Ayton, but he certainly can't do it by himself. Now you don't have guys like Saric and Craig. So you're basically having to depend on Frank Kaminsky, the former Wisconsin great, to back up Ayton. and that's not going to get it done. That's not going to get it done defending this man, as we all know, as the Greek Freak.
Yeah.
So Monty Williams is back to the drawing board for him about how can he stop this man. And let me tell you, Chris, so far he has been unsuccessful, and I don't see I don't see any way right now for them to slow him down unless he does it himself, which we saw him do, jacking up a bunch of threes and perimeter shots, which we know is not Giannis's game. Once Mike Budenholzer, the Bucks head coach, finally told him, hey, man, attack the paint. And when he finally did that, the rest has been history, because he's back to playing in that NBA MVP form that we have been accustomed to seeing out of him.
Oh, he's definitely been MVP of this series as well.
No doubt about it. Like, even though they're still down.
Yeah, even in the losing games, he's carried them. Yeah, particularly game 2, he showed out.
No doubt. He has put this Bucks team on his back, and then he finally gets the help that he needed in game 3. You get a repeat performance like that, and momentum has changed mightily in this series in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. And then all of a sudden they're feeling unstoppable.
And Phoenix is glad to be going back home on the heels a bit if the Bucks tie this thing up.
Now, of course, we're not trying to get too ahead of ourselves, because there's still a game 4 to be played in Milwaukee, with the Bucks still a game away from tying this series up and really questioning.
Yeah, like we said last week, Phoenix really only needs to win one of these games to feel good going back home, just to steal one of these, and then it's the ball's in their court.
And they have the home field. They have the home field in this series, which is great for them, because both teams have played well at home.
Yeah. Neither one of these games have been particularly close. It's been double-digit wins each one.
And it's crazy considering what we touched on before the NBA Finals started, where the Suns in those 2 regular season contests only beat them by a point in both games. One of them just so happened to be in overtime.
Maybe they'll save that for Game 7.
Wouldn't that be something? That would be...
Go into overtime, have a 1-point win.
Yeah, that would be somewhat equivalent to Game 6, Miami Heat versus San Antonio Spurs, when Ray Allen hit that big three-pointer to tie it up, descended in overtime, and then Miami took care of business in overtime, then turned around and won Game 7.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that rebound, because that was an awful shot by LeBron James. Let's just set the record straight. But the rebound by Chris Bosh doesn't get talked about nearly enough as the shot from Ray Allen that Phil did. That rebound by Chris Bosh, that's why the Miami Heat signed him, boys and girls, to that.
Well, and the way this series is going, it could swing like that. It just feels like this is going to go back and forth.
Exactly, Chris. That's exactly what has transpired here in this series. It's been nothing but, so far in 3 games, whoever's playing at home has the upper hand, of course, but they end up dominating.
Right, because Phoenix didn't really play it's not like they played a terrible game last night. Chris Paul did good.
They just don't have anybody to stop Giannis.
Yeah, they just got outperformed by the crazy performance from Giannis, and then of course, like we mentioned, Middleton and Holiday just had really good days. So
I'd like, if you don't mind, Chris, can you pull up Bobby Portis's and Robin Lopez's, or Brooke Lopez's numbers, I should say, from Game 3?
Yeah, give me a sec here.
Because those are the other 2 big factors as well, with scoring points in the paint for this Bucks squad.
You said Lopez?
Lopez and Portis, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Lopez, he got 11 points. And,
so that's what they need. They need
2 rebounds.
They need Lopez in double digits.
And then Portis.
That's good.
Portis got 11 points off the bench.
See?
Yeah, and 1 assist, 8 rebounds. So that's really good performance from Portis.
If those cats stay in double figures, Chris, the Bucks are winning the NBA championship.
Well, yeah. Well, it's hard to. I can't imagine beating a team when everybody's playing that solid, and then you have one player just performing out of his mind, like Giannis. Like, that's unbeatable.
That's what exactly. That's what wins you championship at the NBA level. Is your role guy stepping up, and then the superstar dropping the hammer on you, closing it out for you. And that's exactly what Giannis did in Game 3, along with some much-needed and reliable help in that game. And so, once again, we're not trying to get too ahead of ourselves, but the writing is on the wall right now, to where if Monty Williams doesn't start double teaming these guys in the paint and is forcing their perimeter guys to make shots to beat them, because that's certainly my game plan for the Suns going into this 4th game of this series, is double teaming these guys in the paint and making them have to kick out and make clutch shots to beat you, because that's what you want to happen.
Well, and here's some surprising facts from this. I mean, technically speaking, the Suns shot slightly better. They were 48.2%, and the Bucks were 47.8%. The difference was
points in the paint.
Yeah, the Bucks just had more opportunities. So even though they were shooting, a little bit worse, they had more opportunities. And they did better from the free throw line.
Also, Giannis went to the line a lot.
Yeah, Giannis.
As well.
Giannis was 13 from 17 from the free throw line.
So basically, it was just about the repeat performance from Game 2, where he was the only Buck that went to the free throw line in Game 2. And it seems like Game 3 was pretty much the same, where Giannis went to the free throw line very, very, very often.
Yeah, and then they were able to take advantage of their opportunities enough to, really not even make it a close game.
But that's exactly how Milwaukee closed out Atlanta. Is they were able to get their points in the paint, and they forced Atlanta to beat them shooting wise. And right. they didn't do it in games 5 and 6.
Well, it's so hard. I mean, they did it. Like, they had that one just incredible game, but you can't do that for 4 games. It's hard to do something like that 4 out of 7 games.
And we know this Bucks team plays well on the defensive end as well. But it certainly helped with everybody stepping up in that Game 3, because like you said, the Suns had just a little bit of a better shooting percentage.
Well, and quick shout out for somebody on the Suns, Jay Crowder. He was 6 of 7 from 3-point range with 18 points, 6 rebounds.
Yeah.
Good game, just didn't have enough support, I guess is the way to put it. Even though Ayton scored 18 points, Paul with 19, it wasn't enough. Booker with 10 points need a little bit more from
doubt
Booker
about it.
There.
No doubt about it. And if he's on in that Game 3, you're looking at that game would have went down to the wire, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then when you get into like that end where it's free throw time, who knows what happens at that point.
Yes.
So
yes, so now the Milwaukee Bucks are now 8-1 overall at home.
They like Milwaukee
in these playoffs, looking to make it 9-1 tomorrow night on ABC at 8:00.
Yeah, feeling pretty good for them going into that. We'll see if the Suns can bounce back here, but the Suns may have to go back to Phoenix before they kind of get their feet back under them.
Yeah, don't have any bench depth. The starters are going to have to play at a high level and play their tails off, because they're certainly not anybody that can step in for them to give them a break, to give them production that way. So obviously Milwaukee is really starting to be favored here, even though they're still down in this series.
Yeah, the series now, honestly, it feels more like a series that's even instead of being 2-1 right now. It already feels like.
And I believe it will be after Wednesday night, late Wednesday night. This series will be tied going back to Phoenix for Game 5.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for that.
So obviously we'll see what happens in Milwaukee between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns in Game 4 tomorrow night on ABC. Certainly look like the Bucks have the upper hand. All of a sudden, I'm looking to see somewhat of a repeat performance from Giannis and the rest of his battery mates, helping him out to even this series up for the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe another double-digit win for the Bucks, maybe around 10 points or so. That's what I'm feeling.
I certainly agree with you there. So we shall see. But after Wednesday night, I do expect the Milwaukee Bucks to tie this thing up, heading back to Phoenix for Game 5.
Well, all right, John Denver, we're going to move on to the All-Star game.
We're in the Rockies, Chris.
We are. We're at Coors Field.
Oh, man, I thought we were at Mile High. Join the Mile High Club, Chris. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
right across the street, I think.
We saw some Mile High shots last night.
My gosh, did we?
Yeah, that was always have fun with the home run derby.
I mean, check out this stat, Chris. In the 2016 through 2019 home run derbies, there were only 4 500-plus foot home runs. Last night's home run derby, there were 15 500-plus foot homers.
Yeah, I have to think part of that, of course, is players getting stronger and better techniques, but also just it's in Denver, that thin air and low humidity. I'm sure that helped as well.
No doubt, ball was flying out of Coors Field.
There were so fast coming off the bat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it certainly helped that the guys that competed in the home run derby last night were able to get guys to throw to them at such a quick pace.
Yeah.
And they were able to react quick to it and really put some great swings on the baseball.
They were swinging so quick. I kept thinking, man, I hope no one gets injured doing this, because they were going at it so quick.
Especially the guys that will be playing in the All-Star game tonight. And there are also some guys that are contenders going into the second half of this season coming up. So you certainly don't want to overdo it here.
Well, one of those was a guy that won, Pete Alonso. The Mets don't want him getting injured right now.
Oh, my goodness, because, especially not because they're in first place right now in the East, and they're definitely going to be buyers at the trade deadline. I know Chris Bryant from my Chicago Cubs, his name is popping up an awful lot.
It's gonna be weird to see him in a Mets uniform.
Hey Mets, go ahead and give us Thor.
Yeah, yeah, but you
give
like
us
that.
Or here in a little bit, we'll talk about a player that they ended up drafting in the first round. They could give him up for Chris Bryant, quite possibly.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we'll touch into that later in the show, especially on this MLB section of our show
baseball
today.
But yeah, Pete Alonso repeat did it again.
He sure did. He joins Yoenis Cespedes and Ken Griffey Jr. as the only players to win back-to-back home run derbies.
Man, I miss Ken Griffey Jr.
Me too.
I hated so much he
was there last night, though.
Yeah, it was good to see him out there.
He was. He was a part of the broadcast at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, obviously, he had, in my honest opinion, the sweetest swing I've ever seen.
Beautiful swing.
I know a lot of people, especially in the home run derby, when he would have his cap on backwards, is doing that sweet swing as we always saw him do. A lot of people were wanting the MLB logo to be changed to that.
Now that'd have been cool.
That'd been really dope. But yeah, Pete Alonso, back-to-back home run derbies. I saw, Chris, where his salary right now is only $660,000.
Wow. Okay.
And you win $1 million if you win the home run derby. Now he's won it 2 years in a row.
No wonder he's so adamant to be in the home run derby. He gets more money from that than his salary.
No doubt. And he has made more in this 2 straight home run derby champion run than he has in his career thus far.
In his just regular career. Wow. Okay, then. I didn't know that. That's incredible.
And
it kind of sucks he beat Trey Mancini, though, because you were talking about last week how he was sort of the good story favorite to win.
Yeah, him and of course Trevor Story, right. The hometown kid.
Yeah.
They're in Colorado Rocky Land.
But Mancini was close. Got beat at the end.
That sounded pretty good there. Colorado Rocky Land.
Rolls off the tongue. Colorado Rocky Land.
Rocky Mountain High in Colorado. As I sung at the top of the show. By John Denver. But so yeah, let's kind of go back into those results, Chris. Let's start on that left side of the bracket as Juan Soto, the 8th seed, upset the number 1 seeded mega superstar all of a sudden in Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, and Ohtani just started so cold. He got more hot towards the end of his
Bout came back and tied it up against Soto, which would have led to a home run derby runoff or whatever you want to call it.
Well, he did tie it up, and then it went to that extra 30 seconds or minute, whatever it is, and then they tied again, so they had to do the 3 swings.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the 3 swings, and Soto hit all of his, but Ohtani, I think, only got 1.
I kept forgetting a lot last night about that 30-second bonus for sure.
Well, it's a lot different than it used to be.
And wasn't it if a player hit one 475 feet or more that it stretched out to a minute bonus? I thought I saw that last night, but
I knew that there was different.
Yeah.
They got an extra minute somehow.
I know I know it's at first if they get to a certain number, they get the bonus.
Right.
But I guess it's the distance that gives you that extra 30-minute bonus.
Which makes sense. I just listen, when I watch the home run derby, I just kind of sit back and I don't get too worried about it. So
it's definitely a player and fan event for sure.
It's good to see the players just laughing and having fun, which
no
Ohtani
doubt.
was, even though he lost. He was like laughing the whole time he was playing.
Yeah, but I'm certainly am glad that he got upset in that first round because he's going to be pitching and leading off in the batting order in tonight's MLB All-Star game.
Which is just so cool. I love it.
I do too. It's what the fans wanted to see, and MLB is making sure that they're giving the fans that they want for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But after that upset with Soto over Ohtani, you had Pete Alonso, as we just touched on, that just won back-to-back derbies here. He defeated number 4 seeded Salvador Perez. No shocker there.
Yeah.
And then in the semifinal of the left side of the bracket, Pete Alonso defeated Juan Soto to move on to the championship round.
Yep.
So that was your champion of the left side. Now on to the right side of the bracket, where we had upsets galore here, as the hometown hero Trevor Story, the 7th seed, upsetted the 2 seed Joey Gallo.
What a story.
And the other fan favorite, the man that defeated cancer, and God bless him.
Stage 3.
Trey Mancini, who was the 6th seed, defeated the 3rd seed Matt Olson.
So then your two feel-good stories are going up against each other.
They did, and obviously, pardon the pun here, but Trevor Story got off to a rocky start in that semifinal matchup.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you, Chris, it's a Colorado day.
Yeah, it is.
It is on this show, I might add, here on Sport Fanatics, and we certainly do appreciate you for listening to us today as we are kidding around here, but we're having a good time, people. So, but
we promise we're not filming in Colorado right now.
But unfortunately for Trevor Story, the Avalanche finally came to an end as Mancini defeated Trevor Story to move on to the championship round, where he loses to Alonso in bonus time, I might add, because that was a great final there that we saw from those two cats.
Yeah, Mancini did great. It just that
Alonso, he got hot like he did late, and he gets that bonus time, and he takes advantage of it because, if I remember correctly, his first 6 pitches of bonus time, he hits them all out of Coors Field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was on fire. So Pete Alonso repeats.
But this was the overall stats.
Oh, okay. Overall.
Okay, so you got 309 home runs hit by all competitors.
Okay.
69 home runs were 475 or more feet.
Nice.
26.28 miles of home runs. The longest home run hit in the contest was a 520-foot bomb by Juan Soto. And 117 miles per hour was the hardest hit home run. They were both by Pete Alonso and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I remember one of those from Ohtani, just rocketed off the bat.
And Pete Alonso's 35 home runs in the first round of tonight's home run derby, or last night's home run derby, I should say, was a new first-round record. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Not Pops.
Yeah.
But his son, he held the old mark of 29 home runs.
I remember that round.
And it was also the 3rd highest total for any round of the Derby, behind Guerrero's 40 and Jock Peterson of my Chicago Cubs, his 39 during the 2019 semifinals.
Yeah, it's hard to beat it when you get over 30. But I also remember that 40. You said 41 in that one round by.
It was 40 by
40
Vlad Guerrero Jr. in 2019.
I remember that. That was insane.
And Peterson just about tied him up.
I know.
39.
If he'd have been against anybody else, he'd have had it.
No doubt. But I just wanted to throw those last stats at you before we moved on here on the podcast.
Well, yeah. It's cool. It's interesting to hear those. But tonight, we got the All-Star game coming up, and we went over the rosters already. So I guess we can just sort of...
They have changed, though, Chris.
Oh, yes.
They have changed due to injuries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of
due to injuries and guys opting out. So without further ado, let's start off with the American League lineup tonight as Shohei Ohtani, Mr. Showtime himself, pardon the pun, will be leading off as the designated hitter, and he will also be your starter on the mound for the American League.
Yeah, which you'd love to see.
That's
so cool.
Kevin Cash's All-Star American League squad, the head coach from the Tampa Bay Rays, as Tampa Bay continues to dominate the world of sports now.
Well, it feels like half the American League team is from Tampa Bay.
No doubt.
But continue.
No doubt. But Ohtani is leading off and pitching tonight. How about this? Batting second, Vlad Guerrero Jr. at first base.
All right.
Behind him, Xander Bogaerts, the shortstop from the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
Your boy, Aaron Judge,
hey.
the right fielder from the New York Yankees, is batting fourth.
Thank you for being healthy. Please stay healthy.
Bogarts' infield battery mate, Rafael Devers, bats fifth and is playing third base tonight for the American League squad.
Okay.
Batting sixth is Marcus Semien, playing second base from the Oakland Athletics. Batting seventh is Salvador Perez, the catcher from the Kansas City Royals.
Mm-hmm.
Batting eighth will be Kike Hernandez, another Boston Red Sox player, as he will be playing left field for the American League team. Batting ninth, Mullins will be playing center field, and that rounds out the American League lineup tonight. Moving on to the National League side. Fernando Tatis Jr. will lead off from the San Diego Padres, playing shortstop. Batting second, Max Muncy, the designated hitter from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Batting third is third baseman Nolan Arenado from the St. Louis Cardinals. Batting fourth will be Freddie Freeman, playing first base from the Atlanta Braves. Batting fifth, one of my favorite players, and I've got a soft spot for this guy too because the Cubs acquired him in a deadline deal a couple of years ago, and why they never decided to lock him up still haunts me to this day because he's in the same division as the Cubs now, but his name is Nick Castellanos, and he will be playing right field tonight, and he's from the Cincinnati Reds. Batting sixth is his outfield counterpart from those same Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, yeah.
In Jesse Winker. He will be playing left field tonight.
I remember it being a outfield of red when we talked about it last week.
Even more ironic enough, now that I have mentioned back-to-back Cincinnati Reds that will, of course, be in this National League lineup, batting fifth and sixth. So back-to-back Cincinnati Reds, a guy who I saw live at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati hit a home run.
Oh.
Will be batting seventh, Chris, and his name is JT Realmuto.
Oh, okay.
Playing catcher tonight. He's from the Miami Marlins, so he'll be behind the dish tonight for the National League team. Batting eighth is Reynolds, Pittsburgh Pirate. He will be playing center field. And a teammate of his who a lot of Mississippi State fans are familiar with this name, Adam Frazier.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
He bats right behind his teammate from those Pittsburgh Pirates. And Adam Frazier will be playing second base. So it's nice to see a Mississippi State standout get the start for the National League squad.
All-Star player.
Tonight. And then on the mound, I know you're going to like this. Mad Max. Max Scherzer is on the mound tonight for the National League squad. And Dave Roberts said it best during his press conference the other day. He decided to go with Scherzer because after, of course, not having the All-Star game last season due to COVID, and the Nationals weren't able to be represented coming off of the World Series win,
right?
Which was unfortunate.
Yeah,
that happened. But obviously, Max Scherzer had a lot to do with that NLDS monumental upset,
for sure,
helping the Nationals overcome a 2-1 series deficit. Facing elimination was actually just a few outs away from elimination when Howie Kendrick hit that big grand slam to help keep Washington alive, against that number one seeded Dodgers team out of the National League playoff picture there. And so, obviously, that's a class act by Dave Roberts going with Max Scherzer, who, unfortunately, his team and himself, they weren't able to be rewarded and really be recognized for what they did in the 2019 playoffs, winning their first franchise's national or World Series, I should say.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a nice gesture, but I mean, also it's not like it's undeserved.
Heck of a pitcher.
Yeah.
He has shown it for years, and I know you love the movie Mad Max. So,
especially Fury Road.
So, yeah. So, Mad Max is on the mound tonight for your National League All-Star squad.
All right, and it's so hard to it's honestly hard to predict these All-Star games because, I mean, you have the best players from both leagues. Now, of course, the American League has dominated the past 2 decades.
Yes.
So
they have the better lineup too, in my opinion.
Yeah. We'll see if pitching can make a difference, but I mean, it's easy to lean towards the American League, especially for me because I'm kind of an American League, a little bit biased towards the American League anyway.
I'm not going to lie to you, Chris. I have Shohei Ohtani getting off to a rocky start.
Oh, you think so?
In this game tonight in Denver, Colorado, home of the Colorado Rockies, I might add. Oh. As he starts off facing Fernando Tatis
that's
Jr.
Tough. Yeah, that's tough lineup.
Then Max Muncy. Power. Cat has power. And then you got to deal with Arenado batting third and Freeman batting fourth. So there's obviously power.
You know what would be amazing, though, if he could hit a home run in the top half of that first and then strike out the side in the bottom half of the first.
Yes.
That'd be incredible. If that happens, just MVP for the game.
Yeah, that would be what, Pedro Martinez-esque, where he struck out. He struck out the side in one inning.
I forgot about
work.
That.
So, yeah, that would be. But
you think it'll be a difficult start, or rocky, as you put it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a rocky start. Pardon the pun, but once again, we're We're on a Colorado binge today on the Sport Fanatics podcast.
Uh-huh.
So why not? But I like 1 through 5 in the National League order.
You just think the bottom half is a little bit
It is.
less? Okay.
What I like about the American League lineup is that they have a bunch of contact guys that can put the ball in play, and that's exactly what you have to do against Mad Max Scherzer on the mound to get you going. But I like the National League getting out in front early, and then the American League do their thing where they creep up and they creep up, and then bam, hit you with the big home run or two out double or something.
Well, we'll say this. If it's close in the last inning and the American League brings out Chapman to close it, I'm going to be really nervous about that because he sort of had a rough couple of months here. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Chicago White Sox closer is a part of this
Bring him out.
All-Star game. He's been great. His name is Liam Hendricks, the former Oakland A. Bring him out to close it.
Yeah.
And not Chapman.
If you want to put Chapman in, like, put him in the 8th or something.
Because Chapman's problem is he gets too cute with the slider, and that ends up being his downfall.
Yeah.
As the slider ends up being crushed. Rather than just beat them with their fastball, man. They can't catch up to it.
If he's getting cute with the slider, he'll like miss and like walk the bases.
That too.
Loaded or something.
Or he starts overthrowing with his fastball.
Yeah.
That's another reason for his.
Well, and that being said, I mean, obviously we know Chapman is one of the
premier
great closers,
yeah.
But he definitely had some issues lately.
He's had a rocky first half of this season.
As have the Yankees.
Yeah, it's. How about that series, though, Chris? The troll jobs of both teams. You know, you get that Aaron Judge it was I think it was a 2-run shot, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he rounds third and he does the Altuve celebration from whenever Altuve walked off Chapman. Ironically, to advance the Astros to the World Series, where it was later discovered that they
beat the trash can.
They watched the opposing teams and how they were pitching their hitters, and they were able to adjust due to cheating.
Mm-hmm.
But so he goes around third, and he closes his jersey. It's like, don't rip it off, you know. And then, speaking of Altuve, he hits a walk-off, 3-run bomb
when the Yankees
in the bottom of the
gave
ninth.
Up a huge lead. But yeah.
So obviously not a great way to end the first half of the season for your Yankees.
No. But
who look like they may very well be sellers at the trade deadline.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But I mean, yeah, they're like right on that cusp where it's kind of hard to know what to do, but I wouldn't be that disappointed if they decided to sell.
Well, they certainly got value from Chapman.
Yeah.
In 2016, where the Cubs traded them 5 players to get Chapman. So,
but to round this out, I guess about the All-Star game. Well, one, those players who are sitting because of like injury or something, where they like have little nagging stuff, I don't fault them at all. That's like, I totally get it.
Yeah, the obvious,
focus on your main team and your fan base there.
Yeah, obviously, you want those players to be healthy for second half runs, especially late in September.
And coincidentally, Altuve is one of those. But yeah.
And also, especially guys that have a lot of trade value going forward late this month, as the trade deadline is fastly approaching here.
True.
In July, so yeah, you can't fault those guys at all for wanting to be healthy and
use this as a chance to rest,
no doubt, and to be able to be healthy enough to have some great second half performances for their teams, for sure.
Oh, and one last thing about the All-Star game. Didn't you have a crazy story about they found some like guns or something that were being stored at a hotel room?
They sure did. Colorado police discovers 16 long guns, body armor, and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition in a hotel room near Coors Field.
Yeah, it had like from where they were staying, they like could look over the field, right? Like they could see it.
This was reported on July the 10th, late at night at 11:16. So late that night, this was reported. 4 people were arrested, including one person who wrote on Facebook that he will, and I quote, go out in a big way, close quote.
Yeah, apparently he was having a rough time after a divorce, which is like, really? Like you just got divorced and your solution is to, well, it looks like they were trying to do a Las Vegas type deal going on.
That's exactly what it definitely sounded like to me as well.
Yeah. I mean, and all these guys, there were 4 people, looks like they were all in their 40s.
Yeah. Younger adults.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're just so fortunate that
the police got a tip.
Yeah, somebody in the public
were able to really catch this in time of a major disaster.
Yeah, so like
that would have really have just been a not only another cloud in our nation's history, but also put a real damper on what has so far been a great All-Star.
Oh yeah, well, All-Star game week is always meant to be fun. So
oh yeah,
I mean, gosh, it'd have been so awful for something like this to happen. So, really fortunate that they got caught and we'll hopefully get the book thrown at them.
Yeah. Obviously, going forward tonight, last night was great, but obviously going forward tonight, you do expect Colorado police to be surveilling the area.
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of probably a little bit of a nervousness in the air as well.
Yes, and of course there was a great crowd last night for the home run derby. I expect there to be that same type of a crowd in tonight's All-Star game. But yeah, just a lot of security manning every possible perimeter, especially in that hotel where they found all of this and were able to arrest those 4 people.
Yeah, could you imagine if you just happened to have like a room next door and you found out that they were right next to you that whole time?
Oh my goodness. Ugh. Yeah, I can't even imagine that, Chris.
Or like you were cleaning the room. Ooh. No, well, I mean, they haven't said who in the public gave them the tip. I mean, it could have been another hotel person, like a person staying at the hotel who happened to see them go in there was suspiciously, or
now whoever found this person saying, quote, go out in a big way, close quote, it is a guy to be really thanked here.
Oh yeah, and
because
that was what reported it.
Yeah. Now, if that was definitely the tip, whoever discovered that needs to be really thanked for what he did here, getting the Colorado police involved.
Likely saved dozens of lives.
No doubt about it. But you just hope and pray that there's not a major disaster in tonight's All-Star game where a lot of people are still on vacation and spending their hard-earned money on a fantastic All-Star game that we all expect to see tonight.
Yeah, it should be fun.
So our thoughts and prayers are definitely to those officers out in the Denver area tonight for sure, and we just can't thank them enough for what they do, sacrificing themselves, of course, to help keep us a free country, but also to keep us safe. And we certainly are thinking and praying about them tonight as this All-Star game gets going here later on. But we certainly thank them for being able to catch this before there was a major disaster, and we certainly thank them for all that they do.
Well, and before we get off the MLB, should probably touch on the draft real quick. Because we talked about that last week. We looked at a projection for who those top 10 picks would be. When, of course, now we know that Sunday has passed. Who went where?
Well, we obviously had a shocking surprise here with the first overall pick.
Yeah, really.
As Henry Davis,
Catcher,
quoted by Major League Scouts as the best overall hitter in this draft class. He rises from a mock draft, having him go 5th, to first overall as the Pittsburgh Pirates selected him, number 1 overall. So that was Henry Davis, the catcher from Dan McDonnell's Louisville Cardinals.
Yeah, how about that?
Second, not a shocker here.
This is what we expected.
We expected this. We called this on last Friday's podcast as no-brainer here. The Rangers take Jack Leiter, the right-handed pitcher from Vanderbilt, son of former Major League great Al Leiter. They take him with the 2nd overall pick.
Yep.
A guy who I mentioned during our mock draft discussion, he could either go as high as 3 to possibly 9 or 10 in the first 10 picks of this draft. He ends up
that highest point.
He ends up going number 3. His name is Jackson Jobe, the right-handed pitcher from Heritage Hall High School out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He was an Ole Miss Rebel commitment. Not anymore.
What? Yeah.
As he's fixing to sign a lucrative deal to become a part of that Detroit Tigers organization.
Going 3rd overall.
So he definitely, sorry Mike Bianco, he definitely ain't coming to Oxford now.
No.
He's taking his talents to Detroit, Rock City. I'm telling you, it's a great day. It's a great day for puns, Chris. Great day to have fun. You gotta love it. Pick number 4. Now, this player had been projected the number 1 overall pick for months, weeks, you name it. It felt like he was going to be the unanimous number 1 overall pick. He slides down to number 4 here.
Kind of feels like a steal for the Red Sox.
Oh, no question about it. No question about it. And he is not only the best shortstop out of this class, but he's going to be a mainstay midfield for those Boston Red Sox as they select with the 4th overall pick Marcelo Meyer, the shortstop from East Lake High School out of Chula Vista, California. At number 5, the Baltimore Orioles selected Colton Cowser, the outfielder from Sam Houston State University. So a guy that was not even in the top 10.
Snuck on up
in a
in
lot
there.
of mock drafts. He climbed his way up to number 5 there. Number 6. Now, right here was where a lot of speculation had Jack Leiter's battery mate in that starting rotation in Vanderbilt, Kumar Rocker, had going to here.
Thought he'd
at
go
pick
to
number 6
Diamondbacks.
to the Diamondbacks. But that was not the case, as the Diamondbacks selected another high school shortstop out of Jesuit Prep in Dallas, Texas, in Jordan Lawler. So Lawler is picked by the Diamondbacks instead of Kumar Rocker.
Huh.
When I was listening to the broadcast on Sirius XM, this was a spot right here that felt like a no-brainer that they talked about where Kumar Rocker should go. Here at number 7 to the Kansas City Royals.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kansas City Royals did go with the pitcher, but not Rocker.
Kumar.
They instead go with Frank Mazzucato, a left-handed pitcher out of East Catholic High School. So another player, especially a high school player, wasn't even projected to go in the top 10, has a fast rising climb as the Royals decide to take him over Kumar Rocker there with the 7th pick.
Really rocketed up there.
And as this show has been based upon here today, as we've had this Colorado theme, the Colorado Rockies had the 8th pick, and they actually stuck with the guy who many mock drafts had the Rockies selecting here. So they ended up sticking with this player, and it was Benny Montgomery, an outfielder out of Redland High School in Lewisberry, Pennsylvania. So the Rockies stick with their guy that they had on all of the mock drafts just before.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris, as expected. The 9th pick, this would have been another time to where they could have, a team could have selected Kumar Rocker, but the Angels decided not to do so as they took a pitcher.
A right-handed pitcher at that.
Yes, a right-handed pitcher as well. But it was Sam Bachman out of Miami of Ohio University, not to be confused with Miami, Florida, but Miami of Ohio University. And then finally, to round out the top 10, Kumar Rocker was finally selected as the Mets picked him.
So it kind of feels like another situation where it could be a steal for an organization.
At number 10. I just want to run through the rest of the first round, if I may, Chris. And I'd also like to do a fun little, notable draftees out of players that played in the state of Mississippi.
All right, yeah, we'll do a blitz through here.
I'm just going to go ahead and run through it. Let's see. Pick number 11, Washington Nationals selected shortstop out of Winterboro High School. Pick number 12, Seattle Mariners selected Harry Ford out of North Cobb High School. Pick number 13, Philadelphia Phillies selected Andrew Painter, pitcher out of Calvary Christian Academy. Pick number 14, best player overall in the College World Series. He helped Mississippi State win their first national title, not only in baseball, but in sports history in Starkville, as the San Francisco Giants selected Will Bednar at pick number 14. Sal Frelick, who was projected to go in the top 10, he falls to number 15 as the Milwaukee Brewers selected him. He's an outfielder out of Boston College. Khalil Watson was another player that dropped out of the top 10 as he falls to number 16 to the Miami Marlins out of Wake Forest High School. Matt McClain was selected at 17 to the Cincinnati Reds, shortstop out of UCLA. Michael McGreevy selected at pick number 18 by the St. Louis Cardinals. He is a pitcher out of UC Santa Barbara. Gunnar Hoagland.
Hey.
Ole Miss Rebel pitcher, selected number 19 overall to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome to Canada.
I don't know if you like this pick a ton, Chris, but Trey Sweeney, the shortstop out of Eastern Illinois, went to your New York Yankees at number 20.
I don't hate it. We'll see what happens.
And how about this? From Yankees to Cubs. Your Yankees to my Cubs.
Yeah, how about that?
Back-to-back picks, I might add, as the Cubs selected Jordan Wicks, a southpaw pitcher out of Kansas State at pick number 21.
And then Chicago, we stay there.
That's right, we do, as we stay, but we go to the south side of Chicago for the 27th overall pick, as the White Sox selected shortstop Colson Montgomery from Southridge High School. Pick number 23 belonged to the Cleveland Indians as they selected ECU hurler Gavin Williams, who did a phenomenal job for Cliff Godwin's Pirates all season long. Pick number 24 belonged to the Atlanta Braves as they take pitcher Ryan Cusick from Wake Forest. How about this? Not too long ago, the Oakland Athletics had a player in their organization named Max Muncy. Decided to release him. He gets signed by the Los Angeles Dodgers and completely upstarts a fascinating turnaround of his career as he helped the Los Angeles Dodgers to the World Series last season. So you figured, okay, gosh, I hate we let that Max Muncy go.
So they thought they'd try again.
And they did, Chris, as they take another Max Muncy, but a shortstop this time, out of Thousand Oaks High School.
Maybe second time was the charm.
So they do get another Max Muncy in their farm system. Pick number 26 belonged to the Minnesota Twins as pitcher Chase Petty is selected out of Mainland Regional High School. Pick 27, San Diego Padres selected shortstop Jackson Merrill from Severna Park High School. Pick number 28 went to the reigning defending American League champions as the Tampa Bay Rays selected shortstop Carson Williams from Torrey Pines High School, I should say. Pick number 29 went to those world champion Los Angeles Dodgers as they selected pitcher Maddox Bruns out of UMS Wright Prep School. And then lastly here to finish off the first round, which was a compensation pick, I might add. Pick number 30 went to the Cincinnati Reds as they selected outfielder Jay Allen II from John Carroll High School. So that rounds out the first round. Now, here are some notable draftees that you might not have heard or were aware of. Second round, pick number 58, the Cleveland Indians selected southpaw left-handed pitcher from Ole Miss, Doug Nikhazy.
Go get him, Doug.
So he is another pitcher that will not return to Mike Bianco's Rebel squad, as Mike Bianco, in just the first two rounds of this draft, lose 3 pitchers to his pitching rotation, taking a major hit there.
Yeah.
Comp pick at number 65, the Baltimore Orioles selected Reed Trimble the outfielder from Southern Miss that had an incredible Oxford Regional, which I saw up close and personal. There's speculation that he might turn down the Baltimore Orioles to stay at Southern Miss, and let me tell you, if he does, the Southern Miss Golden Eagles are to be
feared, to be dangerous.
Feared.
Yeah.
Reckon with, because obviously the best bat in that Southern Miss lineup, and we all saw firsthand in that Oxford Regional how much those Golden Eagles could mash at the plate. Going to the third round, Chris, at pick number 88, the Miami Marlins selected Jordan McCants, the shortstop from Pensacola Catholic High School, who is a Mississippi State commit. But doesn't that name sound familiar? As his brother,
it does.
His brother plays for the Ole Miss Rebels.
We'll see what he does. That could have been an interesting brother rivalry.
TJ McCants, the outfielder. So it certainly looks like that his younger brother Jordan, who's a Mississippi State commit, has a tough decision to make on his hands, as he was selected in the third round by the Miami Marlins. Let's head to the fourth round, Chris, at pick number 109, as those Colorado Rockies selected catcher Hunter Goodman from Memphis. Okay. So how about a Memphis player getting taken relatively high?
Yeah.
Going in the fourth round there. Sticking in the fourth round, pick 118, the Miami Marlins selected SEC Player of the Year and National Champion out of Mississippi State, Tanner Allen, the outfielder. So let's now head to the fifth round with the next two picks. Pick number 139 goes to the Kansas City Royals, as they selected another Mississippi State national champion player, pitcher Eric Sarantola. Staying in the fifth round, pick 159, the Minnesota Twins selected, you guessed it, another Mississippi State pitcher in Christian McLeod. I obviously think that he will turn down the Twins' offer and he will come back to Mississippi State after a disappointing remainder of his season, which is devastating because he was once a possible first-round selection.
He's going to want to go higher than that.
And he pitched his way down big time as he falls all the way to the fifth round here. So Mississippi State fans, coming for me, you're going to like what I hear here. Hear. As Christian McLeod, I do believe, comes back to campus in Starkville. In the sixth round, pick 185, the Chicago White Sox selected the closer from Ole Miss, Taylor Broadway. So once again, another blow to Mike Bianco's pitching squad, as now his closer, he loses his closer in the sixth round to the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, looking mighty thin.
So take that now as 4 pitchers. 3 of them will not return to the team, and one of them was the third pick overall coming out of high school, who's definitely not coming now. That young man just made millions of dollars. And lastly here in the 7th round, and I just stuck with 2nd through 7th here.
Okay.
But in the 7th round, pick 220, the San Diego Padres selected Ryan Oach, a pitcher from Southern Miss.
A lot of pitchers.
Well, this was if you were a scout and you were talking to your head people of your franchise that you work for, it was obviously a great year to draft a shortstop or
a pitcher.
Yeah. And one more thing, Chris, if I can if I can say about the draft before we round things out. I'd like to do some really neat stats here.
Okay.
Round 1 breakdown of the MLB draft. 15 players out of high school were selected. Now, once again, this is all in just the first round.
Yeah, round 1.
15 high school players were selected in the first round.
So it's half.
Other was 5. SEC had 4 players selected in the first round. The ACC had 3 players selected. Big 12 and Pac-12 with 1 player apiece. And here's another draft breakdown here. As 11 shortstops were drafted on day 1. Incredible.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Incredible. High school players, 19. College players, 17. Pitchers selected, 15. And positional players selected, 21.
Huh. Okay.
So there you have a breakdown of who was selected.
Okay.
There. So, but once again, the obvious stat that pops out to me here was that 11 shortstops were drafted on day 1.
Yeah, that's a high percentage.
And a majority of them in that first round were players out of high school.
It's like people are looking for their Derek Jeter.
Oh, no question about it. And once again, going back to me listening to the draft on satellite radio because I was on my way home from seeing my brother Lee in Martin, Tennessee, where he lives and works at. He works at the University of Tennessee, Martin. So shout out to my brother Lee.
Yeah,
I loved you, and
shout out to Lee.
I sure did enjoy spending time with you Sunday evening. But yeah, a lot of those high school shortstops definitely were asked if they compared their game to Derek Jeter or if they idolized Derek Jeter growing up. And a bunch of them said yes, as you would have expected.
Yeah. I mean, it was my favorite player growing up.
I know
that generation.
Listening to the interview with the player, the shortstop that fell to your New York Yankees, he said that his favorite player growing up was Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh.
But he definitely talked about watching a lot of Derek Jeter.
Uh-huh.
And of course admiring him, and now he plays the same position. But I thought that was really neat how he said that his favorite player growing up was Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, well, it's, I mean, a great player to look up to.
No doubt about it. So. And I'm sure he lived in Ohio as.
Oh yeah, that would explain things.
Quite possibly from that area as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely mentioned that as he was being interviewed the other night. But anyway, that's it. That's all that I have from the Major League Draft. And
thank you, J. Mike.
It was you got it. And it certainly was fun to keep up with this year for sure, because I know a lot of Mississippi State fans and Ole Miss fans, as ourselves, Chris, were really anxious to see where certain guys went, and if it was quite possible, if they fell in this draft, would there be any slight indication of them stepping back on their respective campuses?
Yeah, and staying.
And it looks like a bunch of these guys are going to go pro. No question about it. And certainly for the Mississippi State fan base, the players that are leaving their program went out with a bang, so to speak, as they win their first national championship in baseball and in sports history down there in Starkville. But obviously, those fans will always remember those players in their hearts and minds as those players start to begin their professional path to quite possibly and very hopeful of a career in the big leagues one day. And then there's questions with the two Southern Miss players, Reed Trimble going in the third round to the Baltimore Orioles. Will he decide to come back and really help out a Southern Miss lineup that would be absolutely dangerous going into next college baseball season? And the pitcher Ryan Oach was drafted in the 7th round by the San Diego Padres. You certainly would like for him to come back to campus and to help out on the mound, to help that lethal lineup out.
Mm-hmm.
So, very possible that both players could come back to that Southern Miss program to where they're a legit threat.
They just missed out on hosting a regional this year, so.
Yeah, and unfortunately they got put in Ole Miss's regional, and they just fell short in that Game 7 winner-take-all game. But you obviously know that they've learned a lot from that experience, and it's going to help them going forward in the 2022 college baseball season. And it's one that you very well could see the Southern Miss Golden Eagles going to a super regional, competing where all they have to do next is to win 2 games, and they're in the College World Series. So certainly a lot to think about there for both of those players on whether they want to come back or not. And also the Memphis catcher, how about him going in the 4th round? A Memphis player going pretty high in the draft, which is something that we don't see out of that program, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
But it certainly doesn't help that your counterparts on the recruiting trail are Ole Miss, Mississippi State, out of the SEC powerhouse programs there. Southern Miss, obviously recruiting at a high level.
Arkansas is right there.
Yeah, and then like you said, you have to worry about Arkansas, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt in that state.
Yeah.
Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, kind of the odd man out.
And so they certainly have a hard time recruiting, but really nice to see a Memphis player getting drafted in the 4th round, getting drafted that high. So whether or not he decides to go pro, we don't know that yet. But if he does, man, congratulations. Congratulations to you, and congratulations to that Memphis baseball program on getting out a pretty high pick in the MLB draft out of that program. So anyway, that's all I wanted to discuss about with the MLB draft, and it certainly was an exciting one, and it was one that I really enjoyed looking at the other night, and certainly was fascinated by it by a number of reasons. But it turned out very exciting, very fascinating. And
yeah, it was good to have it after the college playoffs were done.
No doubt.
Postseason. And also,
no doubt.
You said it was in Denver, right?
Yes, on site.
So
site of the All-Star festivities going on.
They should keep doing that and keep it with the All-Star game
they
every
do.
year.
And they also,
nice.
Yes, going on from that, Chris, as we're closing out MLB draft discussion here on the podcast, they had about a 20-player combine for once, and this was the first combine that they've ever done for, draftees, draftable players, especially first round guys, and it pretty much was for guys that went in the first round. and it's something that they experimented on. And from what I heard the other night from the draft, it apparently went better than people thought. And so only, of course, the goal is to make it better from here on out, and you certainly hope and would think that it does. But one player who was selected in the first round said that they would encourage anybody that's invited to this thing going forward, as I'm sure it will be expanded going forward, to definitely go and attend it, because who knows, your draft stock could rise all of a sudden.
And I mean, it could have helped swing things with those players that were moving around there at the end.
No doubt. And from all the surprises that we saw in the first round, especially in the top 10, Chris, that combine had to have helped out some guys. And I believe it certainly did, as we had some surprises in just the top 10 there of the first round. So yeah, the combine went better than expected, and you obviously hope and want the combine to only grow and get better going forward. But a great first run out of the combine for Major League Baseball. And anyway, that wraps it up for Major League draft coverage.
All right. Well, one thing I mentioned at the beginning of the show was that crazy story involving Les Miles, which he's already had some issues in Kansas that got him released from that job. The sexual harassment allegations that we heard about, but now we have something else where
also at LSU.
Oh yeah.
He was accused of that same crime at LSU when he was in that tenure of his career in Baton Rouge.
Well, I think it was those leftovers that got him released from Kansas. It was the stuff that happened at LSU.
Yeah.
But now we found out that while he was at Kansas, apparently they basically paid a player to be quiet about some it's more than just
threats.
Yeah, it
threats
was like
of violence.
Yeah, violent threats against him and his family while he was a player there at Kansas.
And paid him a pretty good bit just to keep his mouth shut. What was it, $50,000?
Yeah, apparently there's at least $50,000 in benefits.
Oh, in benefits, okay.
Yeah, to finish out his courses online with Kansas.
Oh,
and to
I got you.
And to pay him to move back home and to basically go away.
Okay.
So I mean they paid him a bit extra than what was necessary.
Yeah, but mainly went towards education
to finish his all that out without playing football. So he's basically on scholarship without being on scholarship at that point. But yeah, he apparently he was fullback. Well, I should mention his name, Caperton Humphrey. Or Caperton. You have to forgive me. I don't know if it's Caperton or Caperton, but last name Humphrey, fullback for Kansas. And I mean, apparently he was just getting harassed. It started with some players that lived below him. They loosened the lug nuts on one of his wheels of his car that he noticed one day when he was driving down the highway, and thankfully fixed it before he noticed it before something bad happened, because who knows who could have got injured and all that. But that thing that led to another, and he reported that and to the police, and they weren't able to arrest anybody because there's no proof of who did it. But he had a suspicion it was those guys that lived below him at the apartment complex. But it just didn't stop. One day they showed up and were threatening his family who was living with him at the time, because his family moved out there because they knew he was having issues, and they threatened the whole family, including his 15-year-old brother. And they thought that they even saw a gun on one of them. Of course, he talked to the team about it, and Les Miles just basically, what was it he told the team was basically just everybody behave, essentially.
Yes.
I forgot what the exact quote was. Where is it?
Yeah, he told the players to watch themselves.
Yeah, so just watch yourselves, basically. And, that's just lack of leadership.
And that was according to Caperton Humphrey.
Yeah, that's...
That we just...
Yeah, that is a fair point.
Guy that's involved here.
Yeah, that's according to the guy who was being threatened. And, at any point, this shows just the turmoil and lack of leadership that was going on at Kansas during those years with Les Miles. And it's
sad.
It's easy to believe because they went 0-9 last year. They didn't get a single win.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just, at minimum, it seems like they just have a complete mess going on. What a terrible year.
They obviously have a great coach now coming in.
Yeah, and it's good. They got to start over. I
believe it's Sam Leopold takes over in Lawrence, Kansas for the Jayhawks, and he's a great young up and coming head coach for sure, and definitely one that Kansas program and
what they need.
Desperately need.
Yeah, hopefully
they need a voice. They need a strong voice.
Yeah,
in that program, not one that's going to let the players do whatever and apparently bully and
threaten.
Yeah, acts of violence against a teammate and his family.
Right,
which is just.
So yeah, they just need to get down to basics to start this, to be a team, to just be a group.
And they've got a great guy to do it, and it certainly was. I still don't understand why they hired Les Miles.
Yeah, that was a risk, and it backfired
big time,
incredibly bad.
But I'm glad they got him out of there, and they can go in a very new and positive direction under this.
Yeah,
this good young head coach.
Yeah, we'll see.
My opinion.
We'll see where they go moving forward.
So they've got a good one there in Lawrence, but obviously that was some very upsetting, troubling, and heartbreaking news. Seeing that report come out, and so I'm just glad that the player and his family were safe in all of this.
Yeah, well, they went to safety. I saw where they're still having some, of course, lasting effects.
No doubt, psychologically, mentally.
Humphrey's having to. I think he's talking to a therapist about it, which is good that he's talking through it. But hopefully they can. Well, first of all, sort of get a little bit of a. I think they're looking for some sort of settlement or restitution from Kansas, so that they hopefully they can move on, and hopefully mentally Humphrey will be all right moving forward.
Yeah, definitely will be thinking about and praying for Humphrey and his family for sure.
All right, now we'll close out with the random page of the day. I went to Baseball Reference today, and I got a game from June 3rd, 1998, between the Atlanta Braves and Milwaukee Brewers.
That Atlanta team was loaded.
Yeah, this was
in the late 90s.
Oh my gosh, yeah, this was when the Braves were just on fire, and of course they did win a World Series, but they would get
only one.
Yeah, they would
1995
got shut out by the Yankees a few times.
Yeah, and they went all the way to a Game 7 in 95 where it was a classic pitcher's duel, where John Smoltz outlasted counterpart there in a 1-0 Braves winning Game 7 to give that franchise their first World Series championship, where they have not won one since, which has been crazy because they had they had some great teams in the early 2000s as well.
Yeah, well, and this 98 team was
done in the postseason.
This 98 team was on fire at this point. They won 5-2, and their record was 42-18. It's just incredible record at this point in the season, and
my goodness. But looking back on it now, it's definitely one that you expected.
Yeah, and
out of a 90s Braves team.
When listening to some of these players, man, on the Braves, you got Ozzie Guillen.
Ozzie Guillen?
Yeah.
The former White Sox manager?
Yeah.
Chicago White Sox manager?
Shortstop.
How about that?
Yeah. Chipper Jones, of course.
Yes.
Javi Lopez.
Yep, Javi Lopez.
Andrew Jones. And the pitcher for the Braves in this game was Tom Glavine. Oh,
yep, I just thought about Tom Glavine.
And let's see, the player of this game for them.
Was David Justice still with the Braves?
Not at this point. I don't see him.
Okay, he had moved on then. Ah, that's right. He was with the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, and
98. You said 98.
And then after that, the Yankees
yeah,
picked him up.
That's right, 98. So, yeah, David Justice was on that Cleveland Indians team that blew a 3-1 series lead in the World Series to the Florida Marlins as Edgar Renteria walked it off with a single, a bloop single.
But, yeah, the player for this, Ryan Klesko.
Yeah.
That's an I.
Yeah, yeah. He was a San Diego Padre great.
But yeah,
in the early 2000s.
He was 1 for 4, but with 2 RBI. So,
gosh, I completely forgot that Klesko was a Brave at one point.
Meanwhile, let's look at the Brewers team. Who was on here? Anybody? Not quite as
Robin Yount.
No, I don't see him.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
Man, I don't recognize hardly anybody on here, to be honest. Well, wait a minute. I take that back. Mark Loretta.
That's
a big name.
Another player who finished his career with the San Diego Padres.
He walked 3 times in this game. They may have been pitching around him.
Wow. Surely to goodness Glavine didn't walk him 3 times.
I don't. Let me see how many walks.
That's not of the ordinary from Glavine, especially in his career. Might have been once or twice from Glavine, and then once or twice from a relief pitcher.
Tom Glavine, how many walks? He had 4 walks in this game.
Wow,
that's a lot for him.
No doubt. In one game, no doubt. Yeah.
Pitching for the Brewers was Jeff Juden, who I'm not familiar with.
I'm not familiar with him either, Chris.
But yeah, that Atlanta Braves roster is just kind of the who's who of 90s baseball. It's like you take them,
and they only won 1 World Series. Now they went to a couple.
Oh yeah, but
only 1.
I mean, you combine that Braves roster with the Yankees roster, and that's like just 90s baseball. Those were the 2 best teams by far that decade.
Reminds me of my Cubs with that great young core that they once had that is now obviously is fixing to get traded, or some of it will get traded here at the trade deadline later this month. But they went the 3 straight NLCSs. Only 1 World Series appearance, but that 1 World Series appearance, they got the job done. So it's kind of reminds me of that.
Well, and this year it does. And this year the Braves in 1998, they of course finished first in their division, the NL East. They were 106-56.
Wow, what a record!
They won 3-0 over the Cubs in that first round, 3 straight games. Then they lost the NLCS, if you remember, to the Padres, and then the Padres just got.
That's right.
The Padres got swept by the Yankees. It wasn't even
would
much
that
of a series.
Would that have been back-to-back years that the Yankees had faced the Braves in the World Series?
Let me check.
97 and 98?
Because in 97,
or was it?
Well, 97 they lost the NLCS to the Marlins. But then in 99, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
in 99 they lost the World Series to the Yankees 4-0. So they would have.
Okay, so they went back a few years later.
Yeah, I mean
and faced each other again.
The Braves just they would lose it in the NLCS or World Series year after year after year, except for the one where they, of course, 95.
Yeah, my bad. I'm correcting an error earlier, of course. I said it was the 98 Marlins. I meant to say the 97 Marlins. So, my bad on that. But yeah,
I didn't even notice.
But yeah, David Justice had to have been with Cleveland at that point.
And in 96, they lost the World Series to the Yankees 4-2. Yeah, 95 was when they won it, and they won it over the Indians.
So let's see, Braves in 95, Yankees in 96 over the Padres.
When the Yankees won it in 98 over the Padres.
98 over the Padres, and then 99 and 2000.
Yeah, the Yankees won 96. They won 98, then 99 and 2000.
Who did they play in 96, Chris? See, that's why I was wondering if it was the Braves.
They won over the Braves 4-2.
Okay.
And then they played them again in 99 and won 4 straight over the Braves.
All right, I got you now. Yeah, Yankees and Braves, the teams
Late
of the 90s.
Yeah, from like 95 on. But yeah.
Did the Yankees win it the year that we were born, 92?
No, they were. 1992 was the last season they were below 500.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, we'll see if it happens again this year.
I can't even remember who won the 92 World Series. Was that the Twins? No, that was the Blue Jays. They went back to back. 92 and 93. I knew it.
Yeah, that was when the Blue Jays were really good.
Joe Carter hit the walk-off over the Phillies.
Which had been an incredible World Series to see.
But wasn't that the one in 93 to win them back-to-back World Series titles?
I think that was 93.
I thought it was the one in 93 where Joe Carter beat the Phillies on the walk-off home run.
You have to forgive us. We weren't watching World Series when we were like a few months old.
Yeah, we were goo-goo gaga.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, we weren't doing Colorado puns just yet.
But yeah, that's...
that was neat.
Yeah, that's 1998, June 3rd, I believe I said it was.
Obviously, Brave fans wish they can go back.
Yeah, June 3rd, 1998, Braves 5, Brewers 2.
Get a DeLorean and go back in time to the 90s to relive all of those glories.
You're from the 90s.
Team. I thought you were from the 60s. back. But in this case, back to the 90s. Back. Go back to the 90s where you belong.
I actually
watched that.
2021.
I watched that movie last night before I went to bed, ironically.
I watched it the other day. It was on TV. Yeah, I watched it too.
I believe it was on Sundance last night, and the movie we're referring to is, of course, the classic baseball movie called Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones.
And I've said before,
and Ray Liotta.
my favorite sports movie in general.
Oh, it's mine as well.
Yeah, so good.
I don't understand the flack that it gets, the hate that it gets, but it's such a great movie after all of these years.
I haven't seen much flack. We'll have to talk about sports movies in a future episode or something.
Yes,
we can talk about some of the flack it gets because I'm not familiar with it. Yeah,
man. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Maybe that could be a future episode of the Sport Fanatics podcast here pretty soon.
You have to look into that.
That'd be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you, guys.
It's July 13th, episode 8 of Sport Fanatics, over and done with. J-Mike, where can they find you on social media?
You can add me as a friend on Facebook. My name is John Michael McBunch. Last name is spelled McBunch. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I have the same handle, and that handle is at J_MikeCheck. So please feel free to add and follow me, and I will be sure to follow you back.
All right. And you can follow the podcast at Sport Fanatics on Twitter.
Follow us.
That's the handle.
Please.
My personal Twitter is Christopheles11, Chris Top Holes 11 on Twitter.
No, not tadpoles, people.
But yeah, that's where you can find me. But yeah, that's episode over and done with. I enjoyed it. Thank you for being here with me, J. Mike, and thank y'all for listening to us. Y'all have a good week.
Rocky Mountain High in Colorado.